She's also from the University of Alicante. She holds several degrees in the area of the environment, mining, and sustainable development, international law, and European studies. Before joining the University of Alicante, she was working as head of the European Projects Office at the Marine Technology Center. And previously, she was in charge of international projects for different groundbreaking research centers, such as the Barcelona Institute of Science and Technology, the Institute of Photonic Sciences, as well as the hospital clinic in Barcelona, where she has submitted several European proposals and managed over 30 FP7 and Horizon 2 projects. She will speak to us today. She will continue her presentation and build on what Roberto has presented. And she will look at the work programs, participants portal, as well as intellectual property rights research with regards to research in EU funded projects. Ellen, welcome.
Thank you so much, Wendy. So good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm just gonna give you a glimpse of some of the applications of the main novelties that Roberto has just explained before. So as a result of this push towards more competitive and innovative Europe, we have now a brand new European Innovation Council to support breakthrough innovation in Europe and beyond. And we have 5 European missions to tackle big societal challenges. These have been co-defined and co-designed together with the wider society and some experts to tackle matters such as cancer, oceans, etc. Then there is a more rational funding landscape. So we have dedicated European partnerships which have been developed together with the industry or between public and public institutions, more international cooperation possibilities, a very strong reinforcement of the open science, and therefore we need to apply in the New Horizon Europe the open science policy. I'm going to speak about this very briefly towards the end of the presentation, just to give you an idea of what are these effects. Also, this new focus of the program translates into wider participation. The idea is to reduce this gap between different actors in the EU in research and innovation. And as Roberto said, there was before a little bit of overlapping, so between European funded programs. So now there is the need to find more synergies across funding programs within the EU to capitalize on them rather than to double fund. And of course, this has been said forever that the new program implies simpler rules. In some cases, it does. I leave it there. I mean, it is better and it is more rational now, and we have better tools. You are going to see them later today. So this okay, it's not okay now. So this is an overview of Horizon Europe. So we're going to focus today on the central part of this diagram that you're going to see here, which comprises 3 main pillars and a cross-cutting one. The reason for that is this is the one that has exclusive focus on civil applications. So we are not going to focus on the Euratom program, neither on the defense, European Defense Fund. So just to have a general idea, at least, of what are those 3 main pillars of the core part of Horizon Europe about, I'm just gonna tell you a few words about the first, the 3 general pillars, although we are going to focus today on the central part that it's more devoted to cooperative projects. So, but not to ignore the fact that we have a full pillar devoted to excellent science, we need to mention that the program, the European Research Councils, continues to exist. We continue to have ERC grants, those that are devoted to funding top-notch research, groundbreaking research ideas, etc. And so that's the Marie Curie program. So the Maria Sklodowska-Curie actions continue in the sense that we still have those fellowships for mobility of researchers and also for researchers exchange. And the Pillar 1, it's also reserving a large part of its funding to invest in world-class research infrastructure. Pillar 2 is the one that we're going to see more in detail today. Basically, like 2 words about it because I'm gonna explain in detail. There are 3 thematic clusters and 5 European missions. The thematic clusters are devoted to very specific areas that have been co-developed with the support of the stakeholders and the member states. And the EU missions, as I said before, aim to tackle very wide issues or problems of the society nowadays. And then Pillar 3, which is the one that is a little bit more reinforced with this new edition of the framework program, is the one that supports competitiveness in Europe. Therefore, we have the brand new Innovation Council, which is a twin of the European Research Council, but devoted to innovation, and we continue to have the European Innovation. The European Institute of Innovation and Technology. This pillar actually wants to bring together all the components of the knowledge triangle, bringing together academia, education, research, and innovation. So, as I said, this is the main structure. We have the 3 pillars, and we're going to focus on Pillar 2 today. So, the clusters that I mentioned before, those 6 clusters that are key for us because we, when we want to participate in a European project, we will have, or our institution will be working, or our research group will be working on a specific research area, which can always fall under one of these categories. So we are going to have a closer look at each and every one of these clusters today, so you can more or less have an idea of your potential research project, where could it fall, or where would you like to find partners and coordinators of proposals to join in and do your collaborative research with them. So, but before we dive more in depth into each one of the clusters, just a few words about what is funded, because there is many different actions that are funded under Horizon Europe, but under Pillar 2, there are 3 specific types of actions. So when we have collaborative projects, research collaborative projects tackling these societal challenges, we could be having a project that is more research oriented. And in this case, we would be talking about a research and innovation action, which aims at advancing knowledge or new technologies, or a project that is more innovation focused, those ideas that are closer to the market. And in this case, we could be talking about a project that includes prototyping, demo, pilot testing, scaling up, etc. And this can be done through new or enhanced products or services. And then we have a third type, which is not research per se, but supports research and or innovation, which are the coordination and support actions. These are interesting when we are doing already research and or innovation, and we want to give visibility to what we are doing, because these kind of actions are very good to fund outreach activities, dissemination of results, communication of the project activities, etc., etc., etc. Also, networking activities would fall and linked to decision makers and policymakers would fall under this type of activity. So our projects, or the projects that we are part of, should be one of these. Okay, so we said that Pillar 2 has these 6 clusters, but these are very wide. And how are they structured internally? So a cluster, so we say health, of course, is a massive topic per se, or if we say like, for instance, cluster 4, which is the one that is dealing with digital industry and space matters. This one is very, very wide as well. So how is the structure of this? So within the cluster, we have specific destinations, so large, very large areas, and calls. So in these calls for proposals, we find specific topics to which we can actually apply. So the example here goes, so the cluster, the general umbrella would be digital industry and space. And then there would be a destination that would be devoted to green manufacturing, sort of, okay, advanced manufacturing, flexible, etc. And then this is still too wide. So working with those, so under this destination and core, we find a specific topic more related to digital transition, print transition, etc., etc. That is, for instance, artificial intelligence enhanced robotic system for smart manufacturing. So this is a specific. So this is the exercise that we are going to do when we look for topics that could be interesting for us, or if we receive a communication for a coordinator that is participating in a specific topic. This is what we need to, we are going to see in the coming slides how to analyze them. But now let's have a look at a little bit more in depth of the structure of each of the clusters. So we said there we have 6 clusters, and the first one is the one dealing with health. So this wide, very, very wide topics breaks down into 6 destinations, and for each and every one of them, we can find calls and topics that could be potentially interesting for us if we are dealing with this matter at our institution. So we could be talking about healthy aging or staying healthy, another destination about health promoting environments, another one about tackling diseases, or to ensure the quality of the healthcare system, or to find, or the digitalization or digital solution for a healthy society, or maybe we're working towards a more globally competitive health industry that is also innovative and sustainable. Within all of this, we will have many different topics, and we will see if our great idea or our research can be applicable to any of these. So this could be interesting for us. So the second one is a little bit simpler, but it's still very interesting because it just has 3 destinations. One that deals with democracy and governance, the other one that deals with cultural heritage and what they call CCIs, which are cultural and creative industries, and then also dealing with social and economic transformation. Many interesting calls and topics also under this cluster. So the third one, it's the one that deals with security. And in this case, fighting crime, terrorism, etc., also border protection, and also reduction of disaster risk. Anything related to that, we will need to go to the calls and topics of cluster 3. And then the last 3 ones are the most intense, so to speak, because they are so wide and they incorporate so many components that there are plenty of destinations, as the first one, the one devoted to health. So the fourth one, digital industry and space, anything that has to do with enhanced production, manufacturing, etc., would fall here. Computing technologies here as well. Digital or emerging technologies to increase competitiveness here as well. Also in support of the Green Deal, which is the large European environmental policy at the moment. And also data applications and human-centered digital and industrial technologies, anything related to that, and all that it implies would fall under cluster 4. As interesting as the previous ones, cluster 5, anything related to climate, energy, and mobility. So we might be looking towards transformation to achieve climate neutrality or climate transition, or we might be focusing on the supply of the energy to make it more competitive, or to make the energy use more inclusive and efficient and sustainable, or of course to achieve this decarbonized transport modes, right? To have a clean and competitive solution for all transport modes. And then eventually to have a transport mode that is decarbonized, but is also resilient. We have seen how important this is with the recent pandemic, and also safe for both passengers and goods. So the last cluster also very full with many interesting research areas. This is the one that incorporates food, bioeconomy, natural resources management, agriculture, and environment. Therefore, the destinations here focus either on biodiversity, on sustainable consumption and production, circular economy, clean environment, of course, achieving zero pollution, anything that relates to land, ocean, and water in relation to climate change or climate action. And it also aims at achieving resilient, inclusive, healthy, and green areas, could be rural, coastal, or urban. And finally, anything that relates to digital solutions supporting the Green Deal, but in this case, observation-based or governance-based. So it could be that we are talking about research that includes sensors to detect environmental parameters, etc. So this could be the main 6 clusters of Pillar 2 of Horizon Europe. So this is all these clusters are part of what we call a work program, where is all this information published. Or there's a portal that we will see now, that there is like the full document where we can find all these clusters broken down into all the destinations with all the calls within them, and inside them the specific topics. You can see here highlighted in orange, this could be an example of the health cluster. So this is just the first destination that were the one that dealt with staying healthy. And in this case, you can see that, for instance, there was a staying healthy core that was launched on the previous year, one that is has been launched in this 2022. And you can see that says for 2022, we have 2 options. We have 2-stage and we have single stage. What does it mean? 2-stage is that we submit first like a short proposal, as the reduced version of our project. And then if we pass this first stage, we are invited to submit the full proposal, the full project idea. So that's basically the difference. So you can see here, this is the structure of the work program. Then if you click in each or the topic that are interesting to you, then you will see the full topic description, but you can also see it in the participant portal. This is just for you to know how the work program, the main master document that collects all the information, is structured. So this is how it looks. The links to all work program, the work program is divided in different sections per cluster, and you have all the links at the end of my presentation in one of the last slides and before the IPR issues. So how do I participate? Okay, now we know what's the program about. We know that there's clusters, destination calls, and topics, etc., but what now? So once that we have identified an opportunity, or while we are doing this and we try to find partners or coordinators to participate, we need to be ready to jump in if the opportunity arises and we're lucky and someone contacts us to join a proposal that is in preparation, right? So in this case, there are several steps that we need to follow. The first of one being creating a European login account. Okay, so we are going to see now how this is made. And afterwards, in the case that you have not registered your organization yet and you do not have what is called a participant identification code, we're going to see how this is done. And then once that you have everything ready, if you are invited to join a proposal, then you are ready to be on board and submit the proposal and hopefully get funded. So we need to go to the participant portal, which is the main portal of the Commission. for managing everything related to topics, projects. Now, this is part of the simplification that was intended with this framework program. This was put in place towards the end of H 2020, actually. So we need to be ready and we need to register our organization in the case that we do not have a big number, a participant identification code yet. How do we do this? So we go to the participant portal and we only need to put our full name and email. When we do this, we're going to receive an email from the system. We validate the email and then we create our own credentials in terms of passwords. And then once that we have that, then we are in the position of register our organization. So we go back to the funding and tenders portal. You're going to see it better. So we log in. We just created an account. Easy as that. As I said, provide full name, email, validate, and create your password. That's it. Now you go to the funding and tenders portal. So just let's enlarge this so you can see it better. So in the funding and tenders portal, you will see that the second tab, the one that is in yellow here, it says how to participate. And here in blue, you can see register your organization. So you click there. This is for the cases when you are not registered yet and you wish to do so. So what are you going to need? It's very simple. If you have all the information that you are going to be requested, is 5 to 10 minutes maximum. But it's important that before you do it, at least you know what legal information or what official information from your institution you're going to be requesting. All right. So this is the timeline of the process. You identify yourself, you provide organization data, the legal information, who are going to be authorized users, and then you just submit. It's very simple. So let's go one by one. So we identify the institution. So we put the full legal name, and then the country where our institution is registered, and the registration number, if we have it. The VAT number, if not applicable, we need to click. If we have a VAT number, we put it here. We will usually have it, but it might be not the case. So in that case, we put not applicable because it affects the following forms. And then if we have a website, we put it as well. So this is the first bit of information that we are requested. Once that we have inserted that information, then we put the business name. It's different from the legal name, otherwise the same. And then full address. And then the phone number, and if we have it, a fax number. So very easy. That's the basic information from the institution, but we need to have the information about the registration, right? This also affects the next step of the form. So we need to indicate the legal entity status, if it's a legal person or a natural person, then the legal form, which kind of entity are you, VAT number if you have it, and then the registration number and the registration date, the type of entity, if it's public or private, and if it's for-profit or non-for-profit. Once that we have added all that, we just need to add a few profiles of people, users that would be authorized to enter information in the participant portal on behalf of your organization. You don't really need many, just one, but usually add at least 2 as a backup to authorized users. This is just for registering, so you do not need to go crazy here. You're just logged in, so you have your data. I have the example here where I appear, and I was doing like a mock-up registration, but you could add somebody else. So once that you have provided all that information, then you just review. You're going to get a summary. So you have said this, and that. Otherwise, amend. The system saves the information. You can go back and correct, saves the drafts. And once that is clear, you submit it, and then you get your participant identification code. With this code, now you're ready to jump on board any proposal preparation, or even as if this has happened in the past before, could even potentially jump into a funded project, because sometimes it's the case, and this has happened to us in the past, that a funded project lost a partner for whatever reason, and then they need someone. And if you're ready and you have your participant identification code in place and validated and so on and so forth, the validation afterwards takes a little bit longer, but you get the pick very swiftly, and then you can participate. Then you're ready. Okay. So this is the main steps. These are the main steps that you need to follow to be ready to participate. Now, how do we find the topics? Of course, there's the master document, the work program, etc., but that's a little bit too much. So we have the tools imported, and again, we can use for this the funding and tender portals. And for in the funding and tender portals, we are going to find the topics of interest, potential partners, etc., etc., etc. But we have another tool for previously funded projects, results, etc., 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 that is called CARIPI. So we're going to have a quick look at both of them, because both of them are going to be very useful for you. So we go to the funding and tenders portal. This is the main page, the home page. And we click on the first tab, research funding, search funding and tenders. I'm sorry. So you see it in yellow there and there. What do we do here? So you're going to have like a list of thousands and thousands of topics if you do not apply any filter. So what do we do? In the search bar here, for instance, you insert some kind of keyword of a term that is relevant to your research center, your university, or your institution. So you put some here, and once that you do that, what I would do would be to refine the search, in the sense that we are going to also see the topics. We are going to find topics here, topic calls and topics to which we can submit a project idea, or we can look for proposals in preparation by European partners, for instance. So European coordinators are looking for partners in your region. How do we know that there are topics that could be of interest for us? So here we do the search, we look for those topics and calls that are open for submission or for coming. This is also very interesting. And then we get the list depending on the filters that we have applied. So once that we go there, I put another example here. So we will see a screen like this. In this case, this is a topic. I did the search marine litter and pollution, and this is the topic that appeared. So the first information that is provided in the general topic description in the funding and tenders portal is general, like it's what calls does the topic belong to, what type of action. This is an innovation action. So this is close to the market, if you remember what we said before. And you can also see some basic information. When is the deadline? When do we need to submit the project maximum? And in the column of the left, you will see that if we continue scrolling down, we will see the full topic description, general information about the cluster of mission, etc., and so on and so forth. So let's have a look at each of them. So if we go to topic description, this is very important. This is what you need to analyze to see if it falls under your field of knowledge or your research area. So for each topic, there is the description of the scope that needs to be addressed, but also a very detailed description of the expected impact and sometimes also expected outcome of this topic, which means that the project that are submitted to this topic need to address everything that is said here. Before it was like some of the outcomes can be overlooked and you focus on this and that, but lately what we are seeing is that you need to really read carefully the topic description and see if to any of these expected outcomes, for instance, your research group can contribute. Of course, you're not going to do everything that is listed here. Therefore, we have the coordination, the coordinated projects. Therefore, these are collaborative projects. Okay, but we have the full description here for us to analyze it. Now, there are some specific conditions. Just read carefully. There is in this particular case, it says that the projects are expected to have a technology readiness level 7 to 8. So this is very, very high up. This is very close to the market. This is just a specific condition of this particular topic. So we would go and we would analyze the conditions of the topic, the specific documents, if applicable. Usually there's the general documents, but if there is anything specific, it would appear here. And what is very important for you, that for each topic, we have partner search announcement. This is critical because in this case, when you go here, you're going to see, for instance, for this topic, at the time that I did this screenshot, there were 38 partners, potential partners from all over the world that had expressed interest in this topic. When you put your profiles here, you're going to see like these 38 partners. What they have done is something like this. So you click there and then you will see, for instance, here, like you want to see the profiles that have been already uploaded. So we have this entity, for instance, from Turkey that is offering their services. So they say, we are working on this, this, and that, and we could contribute this way to this topic. Most of the partners that you're going to see here, or potential partners, will be competitors. But in some cases, you can find people who are actually preparing proposals, and in that case, they request expertise. So most of them are competitors, but in some cases, you might find coordinators here, although this is not the best way to find coordinators. Proactively in the list. But how are you going to find them? By doing this? Because if you are a coordinator and you need a particular partner that you do not have among the ones that you have in the consortium already, where are you going to look for first? You go to the funding and tenders portal, you go to the topic. If nobody in the network knows about anybody, because it's something very specific, and I'm telling you, it happens way more often than you may think. You don't know anybody. You do know that in the topic, you will have the expression of interest of potential partners. And many of the people that you find here are usually consultants offering general services and not very specific. So if you're really working on the topic and you're really offering something for one of the expected outcomes, etc., if you're really aligning your profile with what is expected in the topic, and the coordinators find you, they're going to reach out for sure, because the system also allows to send you direct messages. So for that, you need to register and log in. And once that you're logged in with your institutional profile and with the specific permissions that you will be granted, you need to be a legal entity appointed representative, or to have an administrative role, etc. With different profiles, you can put your description as it is here, and this will give you visibility. It might not happen for the first topic that you put here, but nothing precludes you from doing as many, from uploading expression of interest in as many topics as you want in a Word program, or in the section of 1 cluster, 2 clusters, or as many as you like. And you maximize your options to be found by coordinators. So sometimes it's tricky to navigate through these portals. Therefore, I have added here a slide about a very useful IT guide that is provided by the Commission. This is the IT how-to not to get lost in the funding and tender portals. And in this case, anything related to registration, etc., can be found here in a very interactive way. So should you need it, this is very useful. I recommend it to you because it also has the other sections. Once that you have a project funded, for instance, you have the full guideline on managing your grant, also even if you want to work as an expert. So we want to find partners. All right. So we said we have our organization register, we have a big number, and then we can access this page because we have already have activated our full profile. So once that we are here, we can grant different roles, and those roles can be used to upload this short description in all the topics. Okay, it's done through our own website of our organization, that we will have it when we have our PIC number. So now let's go to Cordis. So in the previous, with the previous tool, with the funding and tenders portal, we can find topics to submit project ideas, and we can find consortia, project partners, coordinators, etc., etc., etc. But this is a very good exercise for you already, but we can even go further. So there is this other tool that is called Cordis, this portal, which has the information about all funded projects by the Commission. So when we go here, we can find, I think you see it better here. So this is the home page. So you can find results about previously funded projects. You can find compilations of articles in what they call the magazines regarding specific areas, news and anything related to communication of the project results. We can find the list of the projects and the results. And in that case, you can use that information to try to look for potential coordinators for the topics that you have identified. So if we go to the results pack, for instance, this is just an example. So there's this one about democracy, or another one about agroecology, or another one about climate neutrality. So this is more or less to be up to date, to prepare ourselves to warm up. Okay, so this is in Europe, things are at this stage, at this particular moment. So if we click in one of them, for instance, we will get a list of the results. So results pack. So we have, for instance, the list of deliverables or reports coming from European funded projects that are going to aggregate everything that's related to, for instance, gender perspective in this case, or decarbonizing the energy system, etc. You can save them. As you can see, you have the add to my booklet facility. And then there is also the possibility of navigating through it and then finding the briefer description of the results. So for instance, if you go to the one on understanding how migrants connect to key fostering understanding, it will lead us. So these results are coming now. It's set here. It takes us to the project from which these results are coming. So this is coming from a European project called Digital Crossing in Europe, and it's funding. It's set here on the top of the left. It says that it's funded by a European Research Council. But what is more important for us is what you can see in this rectangle on this column on the right, which is basic information about that project. In this case, the project has already finished, but we will see what was the funding, and very importantly, who was the host university or the coordinator university. Those are the people that we want to keep an eye on, because we know this institution already has a funded project on the matter. And should this be, because we did this as an example, but you could search for any area of research that you like, and then you will see the potential coordinators. So you look for projects, you put the keyword here, and then you say inclusion, for instance. Within the list, you select the one that is interesting for you. And there, as I said, you have it. So another project, you can see the objective of the project. And again, very importantly, who coordinated that? Because once that you're here, the system allows you to contact the coordinators directly. And it sends an email from the system that says European Commission Services, which is very, very hard to ignore when you are working in European projects. So it's an easy entry point for you to contact potential coordinators and say that you're working on the matters, if they're preparing a proposal that you could be interested, that you have seen this topic, that it's relevant for both institutions, them and yourself, blah, 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 etc., etc., etc. So this is a deeper exercise on how to find potential coordinators, because this is not always so easy. So this is just a glimpse of Horizon Europe. I think the link to what's Horizon Europe in a nutshell has been already included in the description of the agenda, and it's also at the end of my presentation. And then, so we have the tools, but we don't need to forget about the networking possibilities. So we do all this online, emailing this and that, using the tools, but there is also the possibility of participating in networking and brokerage events that are more and more common. And luckily, most of them already, if not all of them, allow for remote participation. Actually, the majority of them still continue to be fully online. So there is to be up to date to these events where you could find other partners, potential coordinators, where you can do even pitch presentations and gain visibility and try to jump on board proposals that are ongoing. You can, for instance, liaise with the European, Latin American, Caribbean National Contact Point. You can sign up there, you can register, and they're going to send you all the information about relevant events, publication of calls, etc., etc. They're very, very useful, and they can provide you with all this information so you can participate in those events to find partners. This is just a summary of the main tools that we have been seeing through the presentation. Also some additional ones if you want to look for partners that are more related to the industry, etc., etc., etc. So also the links that I mentioned about the different components of the work program, the different clusters. And now just a couple of words about what we said, open science and IPR protection, intellectual property rights. So the Commission is really pushing towards open science. That means that this needs to be taken into consideration in all funded projects from the first calls of Horizon Europe until its very end. And what does it imply in practice? That we need to take this into consideration from like very, very early, from the very inception of the project, okay? So we need to have pre-registration, register reports, etc., to the possible extent. Then we need to include in all new funded projects the research data management plan, and possibly have data stewards at the institutions. This is a full new issue on its own, but it's becoming mandatory for all projects. So just not to overlook this relevant matter. Of course, IPR protection is key, as we know, especially here today in this framework. And of course, we need to provide, to the possible extent, open access to all research outputs. This is what is expected now. This includes publications, data, software, etc., to participate when possible in open peer review, and of course involve all stakeholders. Just for your record, this is all very well described in a series of documents and resources that I'm listing here. We cannot see all of them in detail, but just for you to know about them. And this is all from our end. Thank you for your attention, and we remain available for questions in the corresponding time slot later on. Thank you so much.